Now, the community of Hammanskraal in Pretoria is alleging that a local clinic has not been operational. The community says the need for the clinic is heightened since the country is under lockdown. This morning, the leader of the African Christian Democratic Party, Reverend Kenneth Meshoe, is in the area to listen to the community's grievances. He joins us now via Zoom. Reverend Meshoe, as always, a pleasure talking to you. What exactly is the community telling you about this clinic?
The community is frustrated by the fact that there is suffering in the community because they cannot access what from the outside looks like a first-class clinic that has been standing unused, unoccupied for 2 years. They have been getting service from tents, and it is painful and heartbreaking to see mothers with their small children, some with babies on their laps in the tent, in the cold. We just came out of a very cold season. That mothers who should be treated in clinics that have been built with taxpayers' money. The clinic is just standing. When you look at their records and their files in the tent, they can easily be lost. So how can they do proper follow-up? How can they continue giving people proper medication if the files with their information are lost? So the ACDP believes that government is not doing justice to the community. We want to know the reasons why for 2 years that building is standing empty, unused, as it's happening in other communities with clinics, hospitals, and schools. This is a culture that must be broken. This is a culture that must be stopped, that it is not fair for the communities, even for residential houses and flats to be built. And for 2 years, they are not occupied. That's why people take the law into their own hands, break into buildings because they say we cannot suffer outside without housing, yet here is the house, here is a building standing empty for more than 2 years. So it is a culture that is wrong, that must be condemned, and that must be corrected. So we are here to hear more. And also we have asked the MEC to be here also to give us the explanation why government is making buildings to stand where people who need them are just watching. So I'm hoping that with our visit today, which we definitely are going to follow up very, very soon, depending on when they are going to say they are going to open the clinic. If they don't open it, next time will not be just becoming a few in number, but we'll bring members of the community to come and protest and toy in front of the gates. The ACDP says that building must be opened today. We must get an answer when it is going to be opened. The community has been suffering for far too long. When I came in this morning, they were standing in line outside in the sun, hot sun, standing outside waiting to be serviced inside in the tents. Now, how will the temperature also give proper readings, or the thermometers give proper reading when people have been standing for hours in the sun, then they go inside the tents? The readings they are getting are definitely not accurate. I question that. They cannot be accurate. We are saying serve the people with dignity. If you claim that you are caring for them, you're going to make buildings available for them, let those buildings be used. Let people get into those buildings that have equipment that is not found inside the tents. So we want the people in Hammanskraal to be given first-class treatment as people who deserve that in this community.
Does this problem at the clinic extend to other societal issues? What have you heard from the community about the other problems they're encountering in terms of governance in that area?
Well, they always complain about the shortage of medication. Now, when you have a tent that is servicing the people, and you put medication in the tent, once the people hear that there is medication available, they can easily break into those tents to get the medication. And secondly, we know that with every medication, it is written on the bottle, on the box, that it must be kept in a room temperature of not more than 25 centigrades. So when medication is kept in the tent, in this heat, it's very easy for the temperature to be more than 30 degrees. So what happens to the quality of the medication? So we are saying as ACDP, treat the people of Hammanskraal with dignity. Ensure that the medication they are getting also is not spoiled because of high temperatures. Medication should not be in the tents in this hot temperature, but it must be in the building that is standing empty and unoccupied. We are hearing some people are even saying they threaten to break down and open the clinic by themselves, by force, so that government will start doing something, because it appears that government only responds when they see violence. When the community don't take matters in their own hands, government seems to be doing nothing. So that hospital or that clinic must be open as soon as possible. Today we are demanding answers. If they don't give us satisfactory answers, next week we'll be back to make noise at the gates of that clinic.
Reverend, what has been your reaction to the president's announcement yesterday about the easing of lockdown related to the story that you're at this morning?
Well, we welcome what the president said about improving services, but at the same time, I must hasten to say, some of what government is saying, including what the president said last night, is misleading. He's not giving 100% accurate information. As an example, you were interviewing a pastor, and earlier on, when the president says the churches will be allowed 50% occupation in their venues, then he, in the same breath, says, but not more than 250 people. That statement is misleading. He should just have said churches and religious organizations will be allowed to increase their numbers from 50 to 250 and not mention 50%. Because if he mentions 50% and a church has 2,000 members, 50% is 1,000. So why does he say 50%? You are allowed to gather, only it must be 50%. Then in the same sentence, he says, but it must not be more than 250 people. That is misleading, and I call on the president and his company to be honest in their reporting, to be accurate in their reporting, because a number of churches now are celebrating. We are allowed 50%. Churches with 5,000 people think they're going to have more than 2,000 in the service, forgetting that the president said not more than 250 people. So this is misleading, and we want honesty because he's not honest.
So, Dr. Meshoe, the building that you're there to complain about, has the ACDP established if there is personnel in terms of doctors and nurses that can start work if the clinic is opened?
Well, we are going to get answer from the MEC. Now, if the government chooses to erect buildings, there's no staff to occupy those buildings. The question is why? Why? Because people will be tempted to abuse those buildings. Taxpayers' money will be wasted unnecessarily. There has been a complaint from the Auditor General that money is being wasted. Money is not producing what the services that the local people want. So about whether there will be enough doctors and nurses, that I am not sure about. That is what the MEC must answer. And if he says we don't have enough, my question will be, why did you erect those buildings and give people false hope? Everybody was celebrating when the buildings were going up. They were celebrating, we are going to have first treatment from this beautiful building. Now 2 years is standing, and say and the doctors, we will say, leading attitude they've revealed to the public. Because if you want to...
Reverend Meshoe, just before we let you go, I don't know if you're still there, the other point that the president raised yesterday is that the IEC can now start working in preparation for the local government elections next year. What's your reaction to this?
I apologize. For a few seconds, we lost connection. Can you repeat your question, please?
The other point that the president raised was about the Independent Electoral Commission, that they can now start doing their work, especially in relation to special votes for the upcoming elections next year, the local government elections. What's your reaction to this as the ACDP?
We welcome that announcement because the ACDP is looking forward to the local government elections. There was a rumor that the ruling party want to propose that elections be postponed for a year or two. And we are definitely going to viciously oppose such a proposal because we want elections now. People are sick and tired. That's why people are now coming to the ACDP and saying, they have been lying to us. Now we want to go to honest people. So we are saying as ACDP, elections come, we are preparing ourselves so that we will get communities and we will have councillors in communities who will serve the people because they love them and because they care for them. So the ACDP is saying we are ready for the elections. The communities that have been lied to for so long are saying, bring them on, bring them on. We want to make change, we want to bring in people that will care for us.
Yeah. And Dr. Meshoe, immediately after this conversation, we're going to be going to the Greek Orthodox Church in Hillbrow, where the funeral service of Advocate George Bizos is currently underway. What are your thoughts about this giant of our of the struggle for democracy in South Africa?
Ability, integrity, and passion to help people, particularly when it comes to defending their rights.
Dr. Meshoe, I hope you can hear me.
Is a stalwart that will be remembered not only. Yes, ma'am.
I was saying that, again, our connection was cut off, so we didn't hear the beginning of your answer. If you could please just restart it.
George Bizos is one of the greatest advocates and stalwarts that South Africa has produced. What he did throughout his life, particularly defending the Rivonia trialists, showed that he's a man that was not after getting money for representing people, but he had a passion to see the rights of all South Africans protected. So as a human rights lawyer, the ACDP wishes his family well as we convey our condolences, and we thank their family for allowing George Bizos to stand out in the community and speak out with courage whenever people's human rights were violated. We highly respect him and we wish him a restful peace, a restful sleep, and hope that there will be many other George Bizos who have will continue with the tradition of being passionate about defending human rights of South Africans. May soul rest in peace.
Let's thank you for talking to us this morning, and we hope we can talk to you again later, just in terms of the outcomes of your visit to the Hammanskraal clinic. That was the leader of the African Christian Democratic Party, Reverend Kenneth Meshoe, talking to us from Hammanskraal, where they're visiting what they say is from the outside looks like a fully capable, if you like, clinic, but it's not being used.